Have you ever stopped to wonder if, your future self will look back and actually thank you for the financial call to Victor today, or maybe, and this one might surprise you, if your pet's favorite squeaky toy is somehow helping save the planet? Because today we're diving into a really fascinating mix of insights that might just change how you think about, oh, welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that tries to cut through all that information noise, get past the overload, and pull out the really important nuggets of knowledge and insight just for you. Our journey today comes from a snapshot of consumer trends and news, dated June 30th, 2025. It's all been pulled together by the consumers.app website. Yeah, that's the same engine behind the Consumers 360 news commentary. It gives us this unique kind of real-time look at what's happening across a whole bunch of consumer topics. So our mission today: unpack these headlines, dig into the consumers' research Q&A for the deeper story, and figure out what really matters for you going forward.
What's really striking about this collection is how it shows the connections. These topics seem separate: wealth, health, pets, but they're not. They're all threads in this bigger picture of how the consumer world is changing and how it shapes our lives. It's really relevant stuff.
Okay, let's dive in. First headline, and this one really jumps out. Women are about to be tremendously wealthy. So why is it so hard to find good financial help?
Ooh, that's from MarketWatch via MSN.com. It sounds like a real paradox, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And it ties into this huge trend people call the Great Wealth Transfer. We're talking trillions of dollars changing hands between generations in the coming years. And the key point here, women are set to inherit a huge chunk of that, maybe even most of it, which brings massive opportunities, but also some pretty unique challenges.
Right. So for women who are maybe expecting an inheritance or have just received one, what are the first practical steps? What should they be thinking about right now? Okay, the absolute first thing is clarity. You've got to know exactly what you're inheriting, the size, what it's made of. Is it cash, property, stocks? Then you need to get a handle on potential taxes, like estate tax or capital gains. After that, it's about looking at investment options that fit your goals. And think about tools like education savings accounts or maybe donor-advised funds if giving back is important. It's about managing and protecting it.
That makes sense. Get the lay of the land first. Now, everything's digital these days. How does digital financial literacy, knowing your way around online finance, affect how women find advice, especially with robo-advisors?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Digital literacy definitely plays a big role. What's kind of counterintuitive is that women with higher overall financial knowledge, they're actually less likely to only use a robo-advisor. But if they're confident with digital tools and get the basics of finance, they're much more likely to use those services. What seems to be preferred, and consumers research points this out, are these hybrid models.
Oh, the mix.
Exactly. You get the convenience of the robo platform, but also that personalized guidance from a human advisor. Kind of the best of both worlds for complex situations.
Which brings us back to that headline problem, finding advisors you can trust. Why is that still such a hurdle for so many women, even with all this wealth potentially involved?
Well, a lot of women say they just don't feel guided or confident, maybe because they didn't get much financial education earlier on. So naturally, it's tough to find an advisor they really click with and trust. Someone who gets their life situation, their goals, their comfort level with risk. Building that strong relationship, that trust, it's absolutely crucial. It's not just finding any advisor, it's finding the right one.
And looking bigger picture at companies themselves, is there proof that having women in leadership roles actually impacts a company's financial health?
Yes, definitely. Research shows a clear link. Companies with female CEOs or more women in top executive roles tend to face fewer financial constraints. It suggests that female leadership, especially right at the top, really helps build corporate financial resilience and improves how finances are managed overall. It's a strong case for diversity.
So given all this, the wealth shift, the need for tailored advice, the trust factor, how does the financial advice industry need to change to really meet women's needs?
It needs to adapt significantly. It's not just about marketing differently. It means genuinely offering personalized advice that fits women's unique goals at different life stages, career changes, retirement planning, legacy building. And fundamentally, it's about building that trust through clear communication and seriously boosting financial education efforts, meeting women where they are.
So it sounds like we're seeing this rise of women-led wealth management. It shows women are often great at budgeting, but maybe need that extra guidance to really optimize things long term. A big shift underway. Okay, let's switch gears to something that hits close to home for nearly everyone: health insurance. This next headline from NBC Chicago says, health insurance plans offer perks you may not know about. This sounds like finding hidden treasure where you least expect it, right?
It really can be like that.
Uh,
Many plans, even basic ones, offer benefits beyond just covering doctor visits. Think things like weight loss programs, help to quit smoking, discounts on fitness classes or gym memberships. You might also find access to telehealth services, which are super convenient, or even nutritional counseling. These are perks that can genuinely improve your health and well-being, so it's definitely worth digging into your plan details.
Oh, what about HSAs, health savings accounts? How do they fit into the picture for savings?
HSAs. They're usually paired with high deductible plans, and they're powerful. You put money in pre-tax, which lowers your taxable income right away. Then you can take money out tax-free for qualified medical costs. And the really neat part, if you don't spend it, you can invest the money, and it grows tax-free. It's like a triple tax advantage.
Wow.
Yeah, it helps manage current costs and builds long-term savings, almost like a healthcare 401k.
That's smart. Okay, tech time. What about blockchain in health insurance? Sounds futuristic. What's the potential and what are the roadblocks?
Blockchain definitely has potential. It could make claims processing way more transparent, cut down on fraud significantly, and improve data privacy because the records are secure and can't be easily changed. But yeah, there are big hurdles. Integrating it with old systems is complex and expensive. And there are regulatory hoops to jump through. So lots of promise, but it's still a work in progress.
And this term consumer-driven health insurance, what does that actually mean for managing costs for the individual?
Right. So consumer-driven plans, often those high deductible ones with HSAs, basically put more of the financial responsibility on you, the consumer. The idea is it makes you more cost conscious. Maybe you shop around for a procedure. They usually have lower monthly premiums and those tax advantages we talked about. The downside, those higher out-of-pocket costs before insurance kicks in might make some people delay needed care. It's a trade-off.
Makes sense. You have more control, but also more upfront risk. Do costs for health insurance vary a lot depending on where you live in the U.S.?
Oh, absolutely. Huge variations. Studies show costs differ significantly by region, even by season sometimes. Things like how many doctors and hospitals are nearby, the local health infrastructure, even flu season severity, they all play a role. Understanding this means insurance models can potentially be tailored better to local needs, maybe making things more affordable, especially for folks with lower incomes. Definitely something to check if you're moving.
And the Internet of Things, IoT. Are smartwatches and fitness trackers, how could they change health insurance?
IoT could be a game changer. All that real-time health data from wearables. Insurers could use it to offer way more personalized products, maybe lower premiums if your tracker shows you're active and healthy. But it needs really powerful data analytics to make sense of it all. And there are massive questions around privacy and data security. Plus, just handling the sheer volume of data is a challenge. If they get it right, though, it could lead to much better risk assessment.
And one last point on health coverage. What about support for kids who don't have insurance in the U.S.?
Yeah, there's a key program called CHIP, the Children's Health Insurance Program. It provides coverage for kids and families who earn too much for Medicaid but maybe can't afford private insurance. CHIP covers checkups, shots, dental care, the essentials. It's a really vital safety net to make sure kids get the health care they need to thrive.
That's so important. Okay, speaking of thriving long-term, let's pivot to retirement. This AOL headline warns, 3 costly retirement mistakes baby boomers keep making. Sounds like we need to pay attention to planning.
It does underscore the need for planning, definitely. Though, the consumer's research material we looked at, it tends to focus less on specific mistakes and more on achieving optimal retirement and aging well. So it's framed more like insights to help you avoid pitfalls and really make the most of those years. More positive, less judgmental.
I like that framing better. So, thinking about senior living communities, how important are their health and wellness programs for actual healthy aging? Are they just add-ons?
Oh, far from add-ons. They're becoming absolutely central. These programs focus on regular physical activity, good nutrition, and crucially, social connection. These aren't just nice-to-haves. They directly help maintain brain health, keep spirits up, and contribute massively to overall well-being. The trend is definitely towards holistic wellness being core practice, helping seniors really thrive.
Holistic, right. Now, here's a connection that seems a bit unusual. Digital finance and seniors' physical health. How do those two link up?
It's a really interesting link that's getting more attention. Digital finance can actually boost seniors' physical health indirectly. How? Well, it might increase their income slightly or make it easier to manage, which improves access to healthcare. It can also make it easier to participate socially, maybe through online groups or accessing services. I think Digital insurance, mobile payments, making things smoother. The key, though, is designing these tools for seniors, making them easy to use, and having social support alongside them. It bridges financial ease and physical well-being.
So what factors really drive the best retirement decisions according to, say, economic models? What's the core balancing act?
Well, looking at those models, the big things are income levels, how much you value leisure time versus working, and how your assets are invested. Studies using complex modeling show that hitting a certain income level is often a trigger, but it's also about that ongoing trade-off. How much do you consume now versus how much leisure do you want later? It's a personal equation.
And on a more day-to-day level, what practical lifestyle changes can seniors make for healthier aging? What can you actually do?
It really comes down to a few key things. Stay physically active. Even walking helps immensely. Eat a balanced diet. Manage stress. Find hobbies. Practice mindfulness. Keep those social connections strong. Fight isolation. Get regular checkups, obviously. And keep learning. Keep your mind engaged. These things really help maintain independence and vitality.
And what about these modern retirement finance models? How do they help prevent what people worry about, retirement ruin?
They're much more sophisticated now. They use techniques like multivariate density modeling and stress testing. Basically, they simulate really bad scenarios, market crashes, unexpected costs to see if your plan holds up. They account for how different financial factors are interconnected in complex ways. It's a much more robust approach than older, simpler rules of thumb, offering better protection against running out of money.
That offers some peace of mind. Okay, so we've planned for retirement, but what if it's not permanent? Our next topic from Investopedia is Unretiring Right for You. How to decide on returning to work after retirement. It really feels like the whole idea of retirement is shifting, doesn't it?
It really does. This unretiring trend is definitely growing. And yeah, it brings up a whole new set of financial and personal things people need to think about before jumping back in. It's not a small decision.
Big one, Social Security. If you go back to work after retiring, what happens to those benefits?
Okay, so if you go back to work before your full retirement age, and that age depends on when you were born, your Social Security benefits might be reduced temporarily if you earn over a certain annual limit. But, and this is crucial, any benefits they withhold because you earn too much, they actually credit those back to you once you reach full retirement age. So you don't lose them permanently, but it affects your cash flow now.
Good to know it comes back eventually. What about taxes? Does that new job income mess with your tax situation?
Oh yeah, it definitely can. Depending on your total income, your job earnings, plus other sources, up to 85% of your Social Security benefits could suddenly become taxable income. There are specific income thresholds for this. It gets complicated fast, so talking to a tax professional is really, really advisable to figure out the impact and plan accordingly. Avoid nasty surprises.
Okay, wise advice. So if you do unretire, what should you think about with your 401k or other investments? Does having a paycheck again change things?
It can be a positive change, actually. Having that new paycheck means you might not need to withdraw money from your retirement accounts to cover living costs. That freedom could let you adjust your investment strategy, maybe be a bit more aggressive with growth stocks since you have that income stream again. You definitely want to reassess your overall plan.
And health-wise, is going back to work good or bad for retirees' health, or does it just depend?
It really varies. For some, it's great mental stimulation, social life, sense of purpose. That can be really positive for health. But you have to weigh that against potential job stress, physical demands, and how much flexibility you have. Finding the right kind of work is key. Some studies show structured programs, even part-time work, can actually boost health. It's very individual.
So beyond the individual finances, what's the bigger role of unretiring, socially, economically?
It's a way for retirees to stay active, engaged, maybe find new purpose. It obviously helps financial stability and lets them use all that valuable experience they've built up over decades that benefits them, their employers, the whole economy, really. The trick is always balancing that work with personal time and well-being.
And are companies generally open to hiring retirees back? Is the labor market welcoming them?
Increasingly, yes. We see retirees successfully rejoining the workforce. Things like their health, age, and past experience matter, of course. And workplaces that offer good work-life balance and support health make it easier. It helps fill skill gaps and keeps experienced people contributing. So yeah, it's becoming more common.
Fascinating how that landscape is changing. Okay, final topic, and this one I admit caught me off guard. Pet Sustainability Coalition addresses plastic scrap in pet industry. From Recycling Today. Seriously, pet industry plastic. Why is this showing up in the consumer trends feed?
Well, it just highlights how broad the consumer world is, and it shows that even industries you might not immediately think of, like the pet industry, have a real environmental footprint. Every product we buy, every package, it adds up. And yeah, the pet industry uses a surprising amount of plastic, often stuff that's hard to recycle.
Okay, so this Pet Sustainability Coalition launched Plastic Recovery July. What's the specific aim there?
It's pretty ambitious, actually. Their goal for that month was to recover 250,000 pounds of plastic that was likely headed for nature or the ocean. It's part of their bigger strategy to really tackle the industry's plastic waste problem because historically, a lot of pet food packaging, for example, just wasn't getting recycled. They want real, measurable impact.
How does the coalition actually help companies make their packaging more sustainable? What are they doing on the ground?
They're working on several fronts. They support new tech for packaging and recycling. They push for designing packaging to be recyclable from the start. And they have programs like Flex Forward. That one specifically collects those flexible plastic pet food bags, the kind that are usually hard to recycle, and turns them into materials that get used again within the pet industry. That's proper circularity.
That's cool, using the waste to make new stuff for the same industry. What about new materials? Is there research into things like bioplastics?
Absolutely. There's significant research into bioplastics, especially making sustainable biodegradable films from things like, get this, amyloid fibrils mixed with biodegradable polymers. Basically using proteins from food byproducts like whey for making cheese to create plastics that break down naturally. It's water-based, potentially scalable, and much better for the environment. A real potential game changer.
Whey plastics, who knew? And what's this plastics hierarchy of fates tool they mention?
That sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. It's a tool to help decision makers, manufacturers, policymakers understand what actually happens to different types of plastics at the end of their life. It gives clear info on whether something is likely to be recycled, landfilled, incinerated, etc. This helps everyone make smarter choices to move towards that circular economy where we reuse plastic instead of just throwing it away.
So is the coalition's work actually making a difference? Is the pet industry changing its packaging?
Yeah, it seems to be having a real impact. It's definitely pushed the industry. Yeah. Many companies are now aiming to switch to fully sustainable packaging by 2025. They've raised a lot of awareness and provided tools, so companies are actively working to cut their plastic footprint. It's a definite shift happening.
And what are the main environmental wins if the industry does adopt more bioplastics? Why should we, as pet owners, care?
The benefits are huge. Less plastic waste choking landfills and oceans, obviously, because they're often biodegradable or easier to recycle. It means less reliance on fossil fuels, which are used to make traditional plastics, less pollution overall, and a lower carbon footprint. So you can feel better knowing your pet's food bag isn't contributing as much to those big environmental problems.
Makes sense. But what are the remaining roadblocks? What's stopping the whole pet industry from being fully sustainable right now?
Well, there are still challenges. We need better recycling tech and infrastructure, especially for some of these newer materials. Consumers need to accept and understand these new packages. They might look or feel different. And crucially, it has to be affordable for companies to make the switch. So it needs ongoing effort, tech advances, industry collaboration, maybe policy support, and definitely educating consumers like us. It's a journey.
Wow. Okay, what a journey we've been on today. From massive shifts in women's wealth to finding those hidden health insurance gems, rethinking retirement entirely, and even, yes, tackling plastic from pet food. It really drives home how interconnected everything is in the consumer world, doesn't it? All these things shape our lives.
It really does. And what stands out is how dynamic it all is. Consumer needs change, problems arise, and then you see innovation step in to find solutions. It's a constantly evolving landscape. Understanding these trends is key.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully this deep dive has given you some valuable insights, things that can help with your own decision or just broaden how you see the world. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll leave you with this question to chew on. What's an overlooked trend in your own daily life, something seemingly small that might actually be shaping the economy at tomorrow? For more like, share, and subscribe to Consumers 360. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.